Okay, the purpose of this hearing is to consider public comments on an application for a new national pollutant discharge elimination discharge permit. The permit will authorize discharges of treated wastewater and stormwater from a proposed limestone facility. The permit applicant is Langford Excavating Company, and the facility name is Langford Resources Quarry. The draft MPDS permit number, these are EPA numbers, TN 00-69523. The permit site will be located at 152 Lime Kill Road in Burns, Dixon County, Tennessee. The mailing address for Langford Excavating Company is P.O. Box 1287, Dixon, Tennessee. I'm Jesse Jones, Environmental Specialist with the Division of Water Pollution Control, and we're part of the Department of Environment and Conservation. We have several other individuals from our division from the Knoxville Environmental Field Office. The Knoxville Environmental Field Office is the office that permits, water quality permits for mining-related operations. We have Stephen Taraski. He is the permit writer for this application, and he's very good at what he does. We have Jonathan Burr, who's in the back. I think he's handing out cards. Jonathan, raise your hand. You can look at Jonathan if you want to. Okay. Gary Mullins, who's in the back somewhere. Gary, where are you?
He's outside.
He's outside, okay. But there's four of us. We all work in the permitting department. Permit writers, researchers, people that attend public hearings and do the research and analysis. Now, the procedure for this hearing. Our program is based on the Tennessee Water Quality Control Act, which is also based on the Federal Clean Water Act, Federal Clean Water Act of 1977, and the Tennessee Water Quality Control Act of 1977, and the supporting rules and regulations based on this fundamental law. We do not regulate other aspects of these sites, be it mining, the actual excavation process itself, blasting, noise, traffic, safety, health, zoning. We have nothing to do with that. We have no jurisdiction. That is for other departments of government to consider. Your comments and questions should be directed to specific water quality issues relating to the permit application and to the conditions and requirements of the MPDS permit. Now, if you want to make other comments, you're free to do so, but we will not use those comments in making the decision. It has to be based on water quality issues. And I've already made the statements about the attendance cards as you came in the room. So if you would like to speak, you need to fill out a card so we'll know whose name to call. Now, during the proceedings, when you are making your comments and others are making their comments, if you want to make a comment after the formal, then you may raise your hand and we'll accept your comments for the record. And I also want to point out that Mr. Taraski and the rest of us will be available after the hearing if you have individual statements or questions that you'd like to make that would not be part of the record. Now, the application and project information. The site is the location of an abandoned underground and surface mining operation that was done many years ago, I understand, maybe even back in the 19th century, extending up into the 1950s, 1940s, and 1950s. Langford Excavating Company obtained coverage under Tennessee's Construction General Stormwater Permit in September of 2009 for construction activities relating to an access road and grade work. This is done under a general permit, a construction general permit. We also have general permits for industrial activities. The company expanded operations and is now requesting through this application permit coverage for the limestone quarry, crusher operation, overburden storage, haul roads, and stockpile area. The total permit acreage is 55 acres. So we're talking about various types of permit, a general permit, and now the operator is seeking coverage under an individual permit for expanded activities. Now, we have conducted site visits to assess water resources in the project area and to evaluate potential impacts to the receiving streams. And this is required under Tennessee's anti-degradation policy. Langford Excavating Company has submitted a complete application. This includes plans, specifications for water control, drainage control, wastewater treatment. They submitted maps, water flow diagram, and also submitted an alternatives analysis, which is required by our anti-degradation policy. Now, the NPDES permit for this proposed facility, should we assume that we will issue this permit, establishes discharge limitations for total suspended solids and pH. These limitations are based on EPA promulgated effluent limitations and best professional judgment of the division. So part of the limits are based on EPA effluent limitations done by EPA research, and the rest are based on best professional judgment through many years of association with these kinds of facilities. The drainage control and treatment system for the proposed new quarry and processing facility will include sumps, sedimentation basins, and best management practices as needed. The basic best professional or best technology as determined by EPA and through the division with the exercise of best professional judgment is sedimentation basins. The primary pollutant would be solids, and if you can direct all of the solids and disturbed areas to these basins, the solids settle out, and then on the discharge, they have to meet the effluent limitations. That's 40 milligrams per liter and 6 to 9 for pH, and that's pretty stringent. Now, as far as our public participation opportunities, and this is required by rules and regulations, Federal Clean Water Act, State Water Quality Act. The division announced the draft NPDES permit and notification in public notice M2010-19. This is the numbers we assign to our public notices. And this was on November the 30th, 2010. The public hearing notice was announced in public notice 2010-20 on November the 30th, 2010. We also published in the Dixon Herald notification of this hearing, and that was done on December the 2nd, 2010. There is a mandatory time period in which these notices have to be published. The company's notification of the proposed discharge activity included the posting of a sign at the facility entrance on December the 1st, 2010, and that has to be a mandatory 30-day time period after they submit the application. Now, our public notice of the proposed discharge activity is also sent to the United States Army Corps of Engineers, to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and the Tennessee Wildlife Resources agencies. These agencies have the opportunity to comment on this draft NPDES permit and application. We didn't receive any comments from any of these agencies. So they have the opportunity. If there's something there that would pose a problem for the agencies and what they control, then they can comment to us. The review and decision process. We will review and consider all comments and objections, oral and written, to the application and draft NPDES permit. We can also ask for additional information from the applicant if required to complete the decision-making process, and that happens often. The comment period will extend because of the weather conditions, and I do want to say we appreciate you coming out. It's about as cold as it ever gets in this country. But we do appreciate you coming out on this night, and because of that, we're going to extend the comment period until January the 31st. This is, normally we do it for 10 days, but we're going to extend the comment period. And I do want to point out that written comments are as valid as what you'll say tonight. In fact, sometimes we have more time to study and research written comments as opposed to oral comments. So certainly there's no difference between these comments. We can now begin taking your comments. I'm going to call your name, and if you'll come forward, we are recording these comments, and it will be made part of the public record. Yes, are there any local officials in attendance tonight? If so, you can raise your hand. Any local officials? Okay, good. We recognize you. Okay, the first commenter will be Bobby A. Deal. Bobby, you want to come forward, sir? Well, it depends. We do try to limit comments to 5 or 10 minutes.